What is up, everybody? We are back. It is According to Seth, and today we are talking about my most anticipated films and shows for November. Some of these I've already seen either in a screener or I went and saw it at Fantastic Fest, but these films and shows you need to add to your watch list, and that's why we're making this video today. So without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? First up, we have The Holdovers, which I actually saw last night. This movie is fantastic. It honestly might be a top 3 for me for the year. And essentially, it's Paul Giamatti teaching a bunch of students. A couple kids get, held over because of winter break and they couldn't go home to their families. And it's just a really great story. I felt so many different things, from just heartbreak to joy to the list goes on, but you gotta add this to your watch list. Technically, it was released in October for like a small theatrical release, but we're getting the full widespread release as of November 10th, so we're counting this as a November release. Next up, we have The Killer coming to Netflix November 10th. This one's been in theaters for a little bit. However, because it's getting the full release on November 10th, it's a November release. But this movie, it's Fincher. I mean, how can you can never go wrong with the guy. However, this isn't my favorite of his films. It is a little slow, but there's a couple sequences that are just absolutely mind-blowing. Tilda Swinton steals the show for the short time she's in this movie, and this is honestly the best audition for why Fassbender should be the next James Bond. Next up, from Sofia Coppola herself, we got Priscilla. Basically, Cailee Spaeny is starring as the title character. You got Jacob Elordi playing Elvis, and this story is basically as the point of view from Priscilla's eyes, and I'm so excited for this one. Next up, on November 10th, going straight to theaters, we have It's a Wonderful Knife, which is a holiday-themed slasher, which honestly, we don't have enough of these. It's got Justin Long, the king of horror, in it, and I'm honestly going to be seated for this one. Next up, on November 17th, we are getting Thanksgiving, which is another holiday-themed slasher, and I'm so excited for it. Eli Roth basically turned this into a full-on movie. It was originally a trailer inside the Grindhouse film, and you bet your ass I'm going to be seated for this one. Next up, we have Your Lucky Day coming to theaters November 10th and to video on demand November 14th. This movie I saw at Fantastic Fest, and it is fucking incredible. It was one of my favorites of the weekend. It's one of Angus Cloud's last performances, and essentially it's about a man who has a winning lottery ticket. He ends up at a gas station with a bunch of different people. That person ends up getting held up for that said lottery ticket, and what ensues is just absolutely balls to the wall wild, and it's just such a great performance from honestly everybody involved. I can't recommend this one enough. Next up, on November 17th, we have Saltburn from Emerald Fennell. Honestly, this movie, there's something about it that was just so magical, but just so messed up in so many ways. I saw this one at Fantastic Fest. I can't recommend this one enough. Barry Keoghan absolutely crushes the shit out of this. Jacob Elordi's great as always. Rosamund Pike was hilarious. The rest of the cast shines in their own ways, and you'll find out why. This, like I said, isn't going to be for everybody. It is a very dark, humorous comedy, but it definitely has some dark moments to it. And that twist, wow. Next up, we have Monarch Legacy of Monsters, which honestly is awesome. Apple TV was kind enough to send me the screeners for this, which I'm going to post my full review as the release date gets closer, but I highly recommend this show. I mean, look, I'm already a sucker for Godzilla. I love everything, but what I really liked about this is it's a whole look into Monarch, the secrets that they keep, and what it's like living in a world filled with monsters and kaijus. It doesn't get better than that, and this is the first time I actually enjoyed having the people be a part of this universe. Next up, Ridley Scott is back, and he's giving us Napoleon, who Joaquin Phoenix is playing the title character, and I am so excited for this film. Next up, from Bradley Cooper himself, who's also starring in this movie as Leonard Bernstein, you have Maestro coming to Netflix December 20th, which is basically about Leonard Bernstein's life, and it looks awesome. Next up, on November 10th, we are getting The Marvels. I know a lot of people aren't that excited for this. They're down on the MCU, saying it's in shambles, this, that, or the other. But for me personally, I actually really enjoyed Iman Vellani as Miss Marvel. I thought that show was one of the better shows on Disney+. And on top of that, we're finally getting Brie Larson back as Captain Marvel, which is way long overdue. And Maria Rambeau was awesome in the show she's been in. But I will be seated for this. There's also a tease of that they've been hinting at, a certain big reveal at one of the post-credit scenes, which will be so awesome finally to see that. But either way, I'm excited for this one. Well, there you have it, people. You have some movies to add to your watch list. Let me know what you think in the comments. And obviously, there's a few other releases coming out, like Hunger Games, Dream Scenario. But those ones I'm just not as invested in. And I did see Dream Scenario at Fantastic Fest. But while I did think it was a fun film, overall, it didn't really do anything for me. But hit the comments, let me know what you think, and enjoy.